Your cybersecurity solution is here. Introducing Pentester's Advanced Cybersecurity Suite. Ready for peace of mind? Try it for free. No credit card required. Pentester.com.
He rang the bell, and we were sitting in the living room, me, him, and my father. And he told my father they sent for me. Now, his captain just disappeared. We all knew what happened, right? He said they just sent for me. And he tells my father, what do you think I should do? Those are probably the 4 best mob movies out there for me, anyway, in my opinion. So Donnie Brasco was really down to earth. I mean, that was pretty much who they were. They were desperados, that crew, Lefty Guns and all of them, and Sonny Black. So when the movie came out, I used to see them at the Diplomat, but I didn't know which one was Donnie Brasco. I mean, I met him, but I didn't know who he was. And when the movie came out, at the end of the movie, they showed pictures of the real characters. And when I saw the picture of the real characters, I said, oh, shit. Hi, everybody. My name is Anthony Ruggiano Jr. I want to welcome everybody to Reform Gangsters. And if you like my content, please hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. And don't forget about my Patreon. A lot of material on there, a lot of new material coming. I also have some stuff planned for the next 2 or 3 weeks that is going to be really interesting. Also, on my birthday is October 29th, actually, but on October 30th, I'll be filming a birthday show with Michael Francis and Sammy the Bull, the 2 biggest out there. And maybe a couple of other special guests. We'll see who's available. So that's another interesting thing. Also, on November 7th, I'll be in New York at a studio in Long Island. If anybody's interested in coming to the studio or coming out for a cigar after that, please contact me through Anthony Ruggiano Jr. at gmail.com or my other website, reformgangsters.com. Also, don't forget about my store. I have a lot of good content on there. I mean, a lot of good stuff, hats, mugs, shirts. Check it out. And today we're going to talk about the movie Donnie Brasco. It was really a pretty realistic movie. I think out of all the mob movies, that's probably in the top 3 for me anyway. I think it's Goodfellas, Casino, Donnie Brasco, and an old movie named Mean Streets from back in the 70s was really good. That put De Niro on the map. Those are probably the 4 best mob movies out there for me anyway, in my opinion. So Donnie Brasco was really down to earth. I mean, that was pretty much who they were. They were desperados, that crew, Lefty Guns and all of them, and Sonny Black. We had some dealings with them. My own man and Tony were good friends with them, with Lefty and Sonny. They were good friends with them. It's funny because we used to all go to the Diplomat in the 70s, and it's shown in the movie too. They used to go to Florida, and we used to go to Florida, and a lot of times our crew either stood at the Newport Hotel or the Diplomat. And they used to stay at the Diplomat. That crew, they were with the Bonanno family. They were captains and wise guys with the Bonanno family. They were tight with Joe Messina, who they sided with when they clipped all them 3 captains for Buffalino, the boss, to keep him in power. Philly, I think his name was, Rusty. So we always used to stay at the Dip anyway. And to make a long story short, so when the movie came out, I used to see them at the Diplomat, but I didn't know which one was Donnie Brasco. I mean, I met him, but I didn't know who he was. And when the movie came out, at the end of the movie, they showed pictures of the real characters. And when I saw the picture of the real characters, I said, oh, shit, that was Donnie Brasco. And I recognized him right away from sitting at the pool at the Diplomat. And the Diplomat was so mobbed up back then in the 70s that in the early 80s, when all this took place, was they actually bugged my father's cabana, we had a pool cabana, and they actually bugged the cabana and bugged the lounge chairs where him and Tommy Agro used to sit and hang out. So, we had some intimate dealings with them. We were good friends with Joe Messina. And even on the other fraction, Anthony Bruno, he was good friends with us. He was the son of Sonny Red that got murdered. He was the son, and he played a part in the movie too. Anthony, they made him out to be a crazy person, which he wasn't crazy. He was more wild than crazy. I wouldn't say he was crazy. He was more wild than crazy. I mean, he was in Allenwood for years with my father. They hung out together. They ate together every night. I was in MDC with him when I got arrested in 2005. He was in the case with Vinnie Gorgeous. He was on Vinnie Gorgeous's case. He also was married to Kathy Burke, Jimmy Burke's daughter, for years. Maybe they still might be married. So, so we had some relationships with them. But as far as the movie goes, the movie was pretty spot on. You got to give, even though he was an agent, he had a lot of balls to do what he did. He really played. They actually proposed him. That's why they got killed. They actually put his name in. He was going to become made. Like, they pulled him out. The government pulled him out before he got made. He was actually going to get made. That's crazy that they were going to actually make an FBI agent, and the FBI pulled him out right before that happened because they didn't want him to get made. They didn't want it to go that far. They wanted to pull him out because they had what they needed to indict everybody. And literally, he actually committed murder because people died because of him. People died because of his investigation. Sonny died. They took him off. He had a pigeon coop up there. He disappeared. He died. I'm shocked Lefty didn't get killed. Lefty, I guess they just blamed the captain. He took all the weight. Lefty went to prison and died in prison behind that. And the other guy got murdered. Did it really do? What did it do? Did the mob close down after that? Did the Bonanno family go out of business after that? No. They just ruined a few lives, I guess. I don't know, but that's the game. That's the business that they're in. That's the game. Yeah, but I think he's back with his wife now. He has a podcast now. I would like to go on it. So if you're listening, Joe, you could, talk to us. Yeah, he has a podcast now, I believe. But the mob isn't what it was. All them guys are gone that were involved in that banana thing with him. And, he's not the first undercover agent that infiltrated the mob. I think he's just the most well-known, and I think he just got the furthest. Listen, they were gangsters. Listen, Sonny, when they found out he was an agent, he could have cooperated. He could have saved himself. But he was a gangster, and he went down like a gangster. They knew they were getting killed. Even in the movie when Al Pacino, when he played Lefty at the end of the movie, when they sent for him, he took off all his jewelry and gave it, put it away and told his wife whatever he told his wife. And he went in and, he lived. That the same thing happened years ago, when you get sent for, when you're a gangster. Like, there was a captain with the Colombo family in Johnny Irish. He was from Florida. Originally, he was with Sonny Francis. He got straightened out to Sonny Francis. And then they made him a captain in Florida, the Colombos. And he had a crew with him. He had this wise guy with him, Anthony Black, was one of his main guys. Big bookmaker, money, big earner, tough guy. And Johnny Irish disappeared. They were dealing drugs. My old man told Johnny Irish a million times, pull the reins in. That guy in New York ain't going to tolerate this, meaning Carmine Persico. And sure enough, they sent for Johnny Irish. He disappeared. Anthony Black, who was his main guy, was very good friends with us. He came to my father's house on Ice Dairy Road. I remember I was there. He rang the bell, and we were sitting in the living room, me, him, and my father. And he told my father they sent for me. Now, his captain just disappeared. We all knew what happened, right? He said they just sent for me. And he tells my father, what do you think I should do? So my father looked at him and go, I'm not going to tell you what to do. He says, I'm not going to tell you what to do. He goes, well, what would you do? And he said, I would go. I would go. And Anthony, I remember, just looked at him and go, but my father says, I would go, but I'm not telling you what to do. And he went and he lived. He went and they and it was a business decision because they still needed someone in Florida. There was a lot of money to be made in Florida. They had they had a lot of valet parking. They had a couple of clubs. They had this club downstairs, upstairs. They had this club, the Limelight. They had a lot of valet parking. They were shy like of money. They had, they were making money down there, the Colombos, and they let Anthony live. So when you're sent for, in that life, you got to go in. Some people make it out and some people don't,
Have you thought about what conversation you're going to start with Michael and Sammy together?
Well, first I'm going to thank them both for coming on. I mean, you gotta, in this, with all these mob shows, they're the two biggest. I mean, anybody, people could say what they want to say about them, but they're the two biggest. It's a shame people are still coming after them and knocking them and talking bad about them. I mean, they got to let it go sooner or later and change the subject, I hope. I don't know. I'm just going to, I don't know what we're going to start off with. That's a good question. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Something light, probably something light. Probably I'll start off with something that I'm the youngest guy on the show today. Meanwhile, I'm 71, I know Michael wants to talk a little bit about politics, so we'll talk about politics, which, how could you not, with the election only a couple of days away, did you see what she did yesterday or something about, she was at a rally? I mean, I don't, she was at a rally yesterday or the day, I don't know when I saw it this morning on the internet. She was at a rally and someone in her audience yelled out, "Jesus is Lord." And this woman turns around and tells that person, "You're at the wrong rally for that." Like, where is her brains? You're at the wrong rally for that. You need to go up the road. She said, you need to go up the road to the other rally, meaning the Trump rally. Like, listen, I don't want to, it's crazy, it's just, I don't even know, I don't want to make it religious, but I have a friend of mine that's a pastor, and he calls me sometimes and he tells me shit that scares the shit out of me about stuff that's going on right now that's in the book of Revelations. Like, he puts it all together for me because I don't know how to put it together. And he puts it all together for me and explains it to me in English. I hang up the phone. I'm scared shit. It's like it makes so much sense when good is evil and evil's good. I mean, it's crazy. I heard a dirty joke the other day that was hilarious on TikTok. It's so true. And I'm going to say it. I mean, it's nasty, but I'll say it anyway. Then we'll decide if we're going to keep it. The guy says in the 80s. How did he go? In the 70s, it was a Bush. In the 80s, it was a runway. In the 90s, it was bald. In the 2000s, it's cock. I mean, when good is evil and evil's good. It's so we're going to talk about politics, and whatever else comes up. I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Reform Gangsters. Don't forget, if you like my content, please ring the bell, subscribe. Also, don't forget about my Patreon. A lot of new content coming out. And on October 30th, I have my birthday show with Michael Francis and Sammy the Bull. I'll be in New York November 7th. If you want to attend, please contact me to Anthony Ruggiano Jr. at gmail.com or reformgangsters.com. And don't forget to check out my store. I got a lot of new merch.